Hello, my name is Matt Nielsen, and this is my video review of a meeting that I attended as part of EDSE 686. In this case, I attended a pre-referral meeting. The meeting had to do with a 7-year-old boy who is currently in the first grade in a rural setting. The student was at a previous school district last year and was in the kindergarten at that time. It's unclear to me if the student was a two-time kindergartner or has gone kindergarten to first grade. Only because of his age do I say that. The essential issue is that the student is engaging in several episodes of behavior during the course of the day, which at the very least are defiant and certainly are disruptive to his class. He's in a contained first grade class of 21 students, and his behaviors tend to create a big wake for the entire class. He engages in behaviors that go anywhere from escapism, where he will run out of the room and hide. He doesn't hide in super restricted areas like the boiler room or up on the roof or something like that. He tends to run and find a nook type of spot, like an area behind a closed door. So if the door is closed, or I guess I would say an open door, he'll hide behind the wedge of the door. Not far away necessarily from his classroom. It might only be 20 feet away from his classroom, or it might be further away. The student also will engage in what seem to be destructive behaviors. However, I did observe him on a few occasions, and when he did this, and it seems to be more of tactile destructive issues. In other words, in the room where he is, there is a rug, a reading rug area, and he'll pull the rug up, and it'll look like he's destroying it, but really he's wiping his hand over and over and over it. And he does this when he rips up paper. You'll see that he's using his hands more to feel more than he's doing actual ripping or destruction of it. In any event, these behaviors and missing class time, the incidences seem to be anywhere from a minimum of 3 times per school day all the way up to 10 times in a school day. There's no real rhyme or reason that's been seen so far for what causes this, because he will sit through, say, a math lesson and do it fine on a Tuesday. The next day he'll object and run out of the classroom. So in an effort to help the student's education, he had a pre-referral meeting. Attended the meeting was 2 special education teachers, the school psychologist or the school district psychologist, general education teacher for the classroom, the school principal, and a school social worker were all involved, and then I was able to be there as well. Essentially, one of the special education teachers has been called when these behaviors have happened in an effort to try to figure out what to do. There are 2 paraprofessionals in the classroom. Typically, to date, if the student has behavior, a paraprofessional will chase him or try to deal with it. The student has then been offered the chance to go to a special education sensory room, something that's been referred to as a sensory hallway. Essentially, it's just a contained hallway that doesn't have anything that can be ripped down and doors can be closed. And then he's also been offered a chance to go into a brain boost room, which is used by several classes during the course of the day. It seems as if these activities, which are all sort of designed to burn out his energy a little bit, have been somewhat effective thus far. In the course of the meeting, several strategies were discussed, from incentive-based measures, letting the student pick out a preferred activity that he wants to do, and if he hits certain behavioral marks, then he'll make it, to having negative results as a result of his behavior, which would tend to resolve themselves in isolation or punishment taking away activities. Those were sort of quickly dismissed by the team because they went right to a harsh result and not really feeding or understanding what's going on. So the team really wants to understand where the student's at before obviously special education placement. So the current plan that's in place, that will be put in place, is the student will check in with a special education teacher and be taught zones of regulation, and then he will indicate what his zone is as he starts the day. Red, he's mad. Yellow, he's okay. Green, things are pretty good. He'll also be taught within that things he can do depending on how he's feeling. The second step that will be taken will be that if he does engage in a behavior, that the special education teacher will be contacted. There is no behavioral interventionist in this small school, and that teacher, if available, will come down and speak with the student and try to determine what the best course of behavior changes will be for the student, again offering rooms. One thing that was brought up was that currently there's a bit of a containment theory on the student, which is to take and put him into an isolated room and kind of lock him in or whatever. That's being eliminated. There's a little element of let him run. Let's just see if we can get him to run into a contained area. The next thing that will happen will be there will be a complete data taken on when he is set off and what happens to see if there's patterns associated with this as well. And hopefully those things will lead to a plan that will get him to be in the classroom more, regulate himself, and maybe get him on track academically. If that does not work, then the student will be gone. The next step will occur, which will be special education testing for the student. Also, in terms of sort of the first level here, the school psychologist will be speaking with the student to get an idea verbally of where the student is at and what's going on to make a decision about what is happening. The parents, I forgot to say, the parents were at this meeting as well, and they were on board with this plan to try to help their child. They see many of the same behaviors at home and are concerned that he will get behind academically if he continues in this regard. Again, it was every meeting that I go to is absolutely fascinating to me in terms of both teacher behaviors as well as parent responses here. In this case, both parents were clearly involved in the student and the student's concern. They just want to see the best for their boy and put a lot of faith in the school district that's what they're trying to do. So it was a pleasure to see that. This is a very small, struggling school district, and it is very clear that they are wearing their absence of resources on their sleeve in this meeting, and did discuss somewhat with the student, not the student, with the family, the consideration of perhaps considering an alternate school district, which might have more resources if that is what is needed in the future. The family is very happy with the school district that they have, and they made the decision to let's just see where it goes, but they wanted to stay with the people that they knew. Again, a very interesting meeting, and seeing how at least this school district handled the pre-referral process. I have been in previous pre-referral processes with other school districts, and I would say that this was very different from what I've seen before. It was different in that other districts seem to have a stronger plan in place. When being in a pre-referral process or a game plan, they knew what they wanted to do, they knew how they wanted to do it. This seemed to be a lot more idea-oriented and seeing what we can do and thinking about what we can do. I don't want to convey that it was slipshod in any way, but it was just very different from a bit of a more organized process that I've seen in other school districts. What was very evident was that everybody in the room cared about the child and what wanted to do what was in the best interest of the child. Thank you very much, and this is my presentation for assignment 2.